We're in a deep hole, however you define it.
He's Governor Newsom's economic czar during the pandemic. It's been more than a month now since Tom Steyer has taken over the 80-member task force to get California back on track. So what's been done and what's the outlook? The former presidential candidate will join me exclusively.
But we will have Bulldog Athletics again, and our hope is it could be as early as this fall.
From virtual classes to losing millions from the absence of athletics, how is Fresno State surviving amid the pandemic? And when will campus life see some normalcy? The university president, Dr. Joseph Castro, will also join me. And our panel is ready to weigh in. From Tulare County, a COVID hotspot, ignoring the governor's orders, to the city of Fresno's sudden change of heart on its shelter-in-place order. It's all on KC24, Sunday Morning Matters.
Now, from KC24, your local election headquarters, with your host, Alexan Balakian. This is Sunday Morning Matters.
Good Sunday morning. I'm Alexan Balakian. Thank you for joining us. And please join the conversation at Real Alexan. Use the hashtag Sunday Morning Matters. Along the way, wiping out the governor's orders with just 3 votes. Tulare County Supervisor Dennis Townsend will join me. But first, Fresno Mayor Lee Brand shreds the city's shelter-in-place order.
We're using our dimmer switch to control the light at the end of the pandemic tunnel.
Now, it's time for Fresno to get back to work.
69 days after the very first shelter-in-place order, the city of Fresno reopening its retail shops. That includes shopping malls. The current order, set to expire at the end of the month, will end effectively at midnight Tuesday. As far as restaurants, the county and the city are now allowed to have dine-in customers after Governor Newsom issued the green light on Thursday. There's no set limit on capacity, but restaurants will have to follow the state and CDC guidelines for social distancing. Face masks are required inside city businesses and public buildings, while they're recommended in the county. As cities and counties reopen restaurants and retail shops, some even going as far as barber shops, salons, and gyms, will there be a big boost for the state's economy, or will the state fall into a deep recession or depression? Governor Newsom's point person on business and jobs recovery joins me now, and he's a familiar face here on Sunday Morning Matters, former presidential candidate Tom Steyer. Mr. Steyer, welcome back. How are you?
Alexan, it's great to be with you again.
Well, I want to start with this, kind of like on a personal level here. Do you believe California is really ready to reopen? What's your biggest concern as we're talking exactly this minute?
Well, Governor Newsom was absolutely right and very early and decisive in closing down California to save lives and to protect our health. And now, as we go through this careful, phased reopening, he's continuing to put the health and lives of Californians first, and that every part of this phase, all of the protocols by business, the rules of the road for reopening, are designed to protect working people when they go to work, and to protect customers and diners when they go to shop or to go to restaurant.
Well,
so first concern has got to be, Alexan, to protect the lives of Californians, and after that to make sure we open as fast as is safely possible.
Well, as you know, here in the Central Valley, many small businesses barely hanging on or have already had to fold up their shop. You know, we know that there's going to be bankruptcies down the road. Housing market may reportedly plummet, millions out of work, as you know. There's really not a how-to book on rebooting or replenishing the 5th largest economy in the world. So how in the world are you and the task force starting to fix this?
Look, the goal is to reopen as fast as safely possible, Alexan. That basically we have to get businesses open as soon as we can in a way that protects the lives of people, and then go out and protect the livelihood. And you're right, we're particularly focused on small businesses because they're the most vulnerable. And it's our goal in this task force to come through this and to come out with a California that is more just and equitable, more sustainable and resilient, and to make sure that we're focused on the communities that are really bearing the brunt of this health crisis and this economic freefall. And those are the under-resourced communities, the Black and brown communities around our state, who are bearing the brunt and who we have to make sure we have in the front of our minds as we rebuild.
Mr. Steyer, you've been at this for at least a month. What has exactly been done to help small businesses?
Well, let me say that we've worked very closely with Governor Newsom as he's designed these protocols, business by business, the people on the task force, whether they're members of organized labor, whether they're union leaders, or whether they run businesses themselves. We've been working really hard to make sure that those protocols reflect reality and can therefore make the businesses open successfully. At the same time, we've been working really hard with him to try and make sure that the budget that he's proposing takes care of people and lays the foundation for our recovery. We've been working on a near-term basis with all the issues of government based on the experience and expertise of the people on the task force, and also thinking longer term about what can we do to get this state back to growing and back to prosperity.
Well, you did mention you want to open as fast but as safely as possible. Tulare County, as you know, has reopened all businesses under phase 3. No other county is that far. And really, the state issued them a threatening letter saying any COVID relief money that they could get now in jeopardy. One, how true is that? And we know that Governor Newsom says he doesn't really want to do anything punitive to Tulare County, but could they if they needed to shut Tulare County down, knowing they haven't met the metrics?
Look, Governor Newsom is trying to protect, first and foremost, the lives of Californians. And secondly, he's trying to protect the livelihoods of Californians to get people back to work in a safe way. And the way that this system works is he's the governor of the state. He gets to set the rules and the foundation for counties to open. Some counties may want to be more restrictive, but he has a right to say, these are the safe ways that people are allowed.
But Mr. Steyer, you say these are the rules, but he's kind of flip-flopped on a lot of those metrics. You know, 1 week it was, one death for 14 days. Now it's 25 cases per 100,000 residents. There's a lot of confusion. Would you agree?
Well, what I'd say is this, Alexon. This is going to be an iterative process. It's going to be data-driven as the information comes in. And so the governor is going to be reacting to the facts on the ground. As you said, this is an absolutely unique situation. He's done a really good job protecting Californians and taking care of us. And as the information comes in, he's going to react to that information in a sensible, smart way, which is his history and what he's done so far. So it may look as if he's changing, but he's changing as a result of the facts on the ground to make the best decision on the data that he has real time.
Well, as you know, the revision of the budget has come out last week. The $54 billion deficit the state is going to be facing in the next fiscal year. The governor hoping the Trump administration will help out. You've been very critical, as we know, the Trump administration. We don't know if the feds are going to help out. So where do these cuts come from? And there has been a suggestion by state lawmakers that maybe there should be high-speed rail that is cut out. And could there possibly be a revision for the gas tax to help the state of California to replenish the economy?
Look, the governor came out with his revised budget a week ago. And it was, we came into this crisis, this economic freefall, in the best shape that Californians ever been in. We had a huge budget surplus. We had a huge rainy day fund. And this pandemic blew a hole in the budget. And the governor responded by showing all the ways that we could respond. As you said, there is an absolute urgent need for the federal government to send money to the states and localities, including California, so that we can continue to provide the necessary services for the people of California. That is absolutely something we need and that this government needs to do to protect the people of California going forward.
Mr. Steyer, I got 15 seconds. I just have to, you're such a businessman, true and true. Recession or depression, where we're going in California?
Look, there's so many things we don't know, Alexon. We're in a deep hole, however you define it. And the thing that's going to get us out of it is putting aside partisanship, putting aside our differences, and remembering that when we put all of our efforts together and support each other, we're going to come out better. We're going to come out better because we're going to choose to produce a better California together. And I'm telling you, we're going to lead the nation because of our spirit. That is the thing you can look to, and that's what I guarantee you.
Mr. Steyer, always appreciate your time here on Sunday Morning Matters. Take care of yourself.
Alexander, nice to talk to you.
Coming up, the state issues a threat to Tulare County after they defied Governor Newsom's order. Tulare County supervisor who spearheaded the effort to reopen all businesses will join me